people, do the right thing. Vote for Paul Lewis, 2014, for a better future and a brighter tomorrow.
We're on the compound, the physical planning unit. That's where I work just before I resigned to take part in the upcoming general elections. My role there as senior electrical inspector was actually responsible for the regulation of the electrical installation on island. When I came to work, when I was first employed, actually, unfortunately, there was nothing to work with in terms of electrical installation act. So I had to put in place electrical installation building act. I had to also put in place a regulation or adopt a regulation, the British IEE regulations, wiring regulations. That's a British standards, and we adopt that, and it became part to the act. We also put in place an electrical licensing authority. So instead of having an inspector handing out a license to you, we have an electrical licensing authority. We have the prerequisites that you gotta put forward. One of it is to have the IE wiring regulations, and that is why we're here today, because we need the IE regulations to get a license, electrical license, to practice as a wireman or as an electrical wiring contractor. So the guys you interviewed in there today, they are actually some practicing with electricians who are licensed, but they would like to be licensed one day. They would like to be able to go out there and earn a living. And with all the future building and rebuilding of Montserrat, they want to be the young ones who would then be able to boast one day and say they were the ones responsible for electrical installation work during the rebuilding process. I mean, the electricians that are there now, they're getting on in age, and therefore at some point in time they're looking forward to the retirement. So we've got to make sure that we have the young electricians trained. Good afternoon. Nice to have you here today. Actually, we had about 40 persons working on the original training. We had out of those 40, we had some workers from Montserrat Utilities Limited, who did just the health and safety. We have some here today who wants to do the IE regulations installation. We have at least 1, 2, 3, 4 here, and some others on their way. We also have some persons who are not with MUL, who are in the electrical field, and basically working as assistants to electricians. We have over here, we have Mr. Sylvan Braid right at the beginning there. He works as assistant. So how long are you working in the field, Mr. Braid?
About 8 or so.
We have a young lady here. She actually, Francis, she actually worked with electrical utilities company before, but not actually in the field of electrical installation.
I became interested after working with the Nevis Electricity Company for the past 7 years. After seeing one young lady working in that division, it kind of piqued my interest, and going out and working with her on numerous occasions and speaking with Paul, my interest got more aroused. So I'm here today to come and see what's this all about.
Yeah, we have Mr. Sheldon right there. Mr. Sheldon, he's working in the field sometime now for one of the electricians that was on the course, and I'm sure he could tell you about his experience.
Yeah, we work with women cover for about 7 years now, doing field work more or less in the individual field. That was great.
We have another young electrician here who worked with Raymond as well.
Yeah, I worked with Raymond Comet for about 10 months, and then I came to Montserrat Utilities Limited in the electrical field to further my skills, see what else I could learn, and I want to do this course to continue and to advance myself.
And we have the ever popular Mr. Nyron.
Infamous.
Infamous. Yeah, I'm at MUL for 16 years now. 16? So I just go off for this further with the IER changes and regulation right now.
Well, we have a very experienced man in the field of working with MUL for how many years now, Dwayne?
25.
Yes, sir.
What's your interest in electrical?
You need to resign now, man.
All aspects. All aspects.
Do you practice?
Yes, I do. Sometimes.
Yeah, we have Mr. Kama right here.
Yeah, I worked with Mole now for a couple of years, and that's real, yeah. But I have intention to be Lions Construction foreman. I'm going to be Lions Construction foreman, so I have to.
How many years have you worked in the Mole?
I
How many years?
I have to know the regulation, I have to know all the necessaries. And as it stands right now, I mean, I think that the electrical system as it stands, we don't get a situation where I could get to become a certified electrician because of how the system's set. You know what? I don't know how the system's set. That's the first thing. This is what the situation is, to find out how the system's set. And I don't see why I have to go do a long apprenticeship for 7 years or whatever with some electrical installation installer to get certified. I don't see that makes sense to me. I should be able to do something with with this department, and this department give me some kind of certification. Maybe not even to say do installations and have that kind of qualification, but at least I should be able to have some kind of working knowledge about what's going on. Especially I work from time to time. I work on faults and service, and in faults and service we deal with pretty much most of the problems that come up in terms of the domestic supplies and whatever. So.
Yeah. Actually, what happened is that the physical planning unit, that's my former department. It's now in charge of that is Mr. Alvin Ryan, and he's the electrical inspector. He's responsible for all of that work now. But we've been working together very well during that time, and what we found is that unfortunately after the volcano erupted, we lost the Montserrat Technical College. That's the college that actually was a foundation for training people like myself and Mr. Ryan and others who are in the field. And through that college we were able to attend and pursue electrical installations course. Because we don't have that now, what we found that because we adopt the IE regulations, which is a British standard regulations, when Europe decided that they wanted to trade with each other, the European islands, they upgraded the IE regulations to the 17th edition, and that meant that they bring all their color coding and standards common. They made it common so that it's easier for trading, and it meant that Montserrat also had to upgrade its standard, and we did the training. But with the absence of the technical college, I find that basically that role basically fell back on us, and we had to do something about it. So we had an original training for about 40 electricians. Well, all of them weren't actually electricians, but some had an interest. Had about 20-something electricians. The others had an interest in the electronic field, telecom field. They felt they wanted to do the course. And we went beyond the call of duty to raise the funds and put the course on. It actually was run by Technical Training Solutions out of England. And so they're the ones who did the certification, not us. And out of that, we had a number of electricians who graduated and who migrated to England eventually, and are now using that basic certification for employment there in England and other parts of Europe. So as Karma was saying here, he's basically saying that because we don't have that institution, the only other way around is to work with an electrician for X amount of years, but at the end of the day you learn the practical, but you never get a certification, so to speak. So at the end of the day, you really can't go and tell someone you were trained. So that's the whole idea about this course. And with the amount of development going forward for the country, we need to have younger electricians, because we have a number of older ones that's going out now, looking forward for their retirement, and we can't afford to wait until that time to get the younger ones coming on board. The thing about it, the reason why I'm involved, because we do not have the technical college anymore. I went to the technical college. Many of the electricians older or my age went to technical college where they were able to be trained in electrical installation at work. That is not possible now, and therefore I find myself, they came to me asking for assistance. I couldn't say no to them, so that is why we organize these courses. I did that for about 40 persons some time ago. Actually, there was no funds. I had to go out and find the funds. I mean, between myself and the ministry, and we got to raise the funds and put the course on. It's not really our portfolio, but we wanted to make sure that persons are up to date and that we're not left behind in the world, that we're up there with the standard, and so we do what we have to do. And after a while, new ones want to come along, and that's why we had this meeting today. And we actually taking information from them, finding out where they work, who work on a permanent basis, who work on a part-time basis, and how this course would help them to make a living and to actually help them to make a contribution to the development of Montserrat on a whole. And of course, I think you would have heard a couple of them, although some of them were shy on the camera, but actually you would have got enough to see their interest and why they want to be here. Well, the Act, first of all, it states who holds a license, it states whether the license is for a year or 3 years, it states who's a wireman, right? Of course, the wireman would be the one just at entry level, and then the wiring contractor would be the senior person who experienced, who are able, the wireman could only do the single phase, and the electrical wiring contractor, they're responsible for 3-phase and single phase. Obviously, the Act would speak to the process for obtaining a license. It goes to the electrical licensing authority, and of course, you have persons, citizen authority. You have the PS of the Ministry of Agriculture, Lands and Housing. That PS would be the chairperson. Then you have someone from the electricity supply company, someone from the director from Public Works, and you have 2 persons who have electrical background from the private sector, making up the authority. And of course, the Act would tell you the power of the electrical inspector, being able to go in onto your property at a certain time and establish whether or not it's safe or not safe to occupy the compound. That is very important because we know you got to look to protect lives, but you also got to look to protect equipment. Equipment is very, very expensive, and you can't afford to lose equipment too often, if at all. And of course, lives. I don't have to tell you, we don't want to lose even one life, not because of electrical. And therefore, the safety is high on the agenda. The government of Montserrat, what they did, which I think is good, is that they put in place the electrical inspectors, building inspectors. They pay us to go out and we inspect. So the persons who are building, they don't have that cost, that expense, except for, say, in the case of electrical, they have a very small inspection fee. That's about it. But they don't have this if you want to call it, a very high cost that they will put on the house for supervising and all that, because it's already in place, and that's something good, I think, for the people. Well, already, before getting into power, already wisdom, I could have adopted any other regulations from around the Caribbean, but I thought, no, why not go international? Why not use international standards so the electricians can move from Montserrat and right away they could go to England, seen we're a British colony, and they could be gainfully employed. Or they could work along in a company with, but they have the prerequisites that's necessary for that. But what I would like to do, once I'm in authority, I would really work relentlessly to get the technical college back on track, because I am an example, a product of it. I know how much it did for me. I'm able to vet the plans. I'm able to, you can send the plans from overseas, and whether I'm into exporting or assembly of light electronic products, you can read the plans, put stuff together, send it back off without even leaving Montserrat. For the plans here, for the houses, you vet the plans, you can see where they're going wrong, you get to correct them and guide them. So at the end of the day, you get a good product out there. And I would like to know that not only myself can do that, but a lot of other young persons can do that, because I would like to know that our young people stay here in Montserrat and are gainfully employed and are doing something that they like. But I'm saying it's really unfortunate that the technical college is not there, but it's for us to put it back in place. You would hear a lot of persons saying, the young people, what is in place for the young people? Young persons, they come out, they can't do any further studies on island, and they can't get jobs, and some of them not getting jobs. Even when jobs are available, they're not equipped for the job because they don't have the training or the institution to provide a training, especially the technical persons. And definitely, I think any government that goes into power must have that as #1 on the agenda. That has to be one of the #1 priorities. Training for young persons, opportunities for young persons in terms of starting up their own businesses, providing finances, and not going through this red tape where, you go to the bank and first thing the bank tell you don't have a job or you just start working, so they ask you for land and house. Where are you going to get that from as a young person? So you want a program in place that eliminates all of that, right? And allow persons to really access funds without having to go through all that. Because if you're going to ask them for a house and a land and car, they already fail before they start because they don't have that.
So, do you think the present government have failed the young people of Montserrat with regards to training?
Well, if you ask them that question, they'll tell you yes if they're honest. So I'll join with them and say yes, that is a failure. I think they know it's a failure. Unfortunately, they did not do enough to correct it. And they did not do enough to correct it in time, and now it's really election time, and don't know. How can you convince the people that if you had all this time to correct it and you didn't do it, that you're going to do it again? And it's unfortunate because I would like to see it done, regardless to who's in power. I would like to see it done because it's a critical part of the development of young people and of our country on a whole. And I'm saying I'll be pleased to be part of a government that put that back on track. I'm proud to be part of the PDM party, which will form the next government, which will put education and vocational training back on track. I'm confident that PDM will do this.
People, do the right thing. Vote for Paul Lewis 2014 for a better future and a brighter tomorrow.